Hi, I'm Jeanne Fiorini. Thanks for being here at the Tarot Tips. We've spent a lot of time over recent videos, which really have ultimately been several years, talking about mechanics, talking about methods, talking about symbols of the tarot, the structure of the deck, all of that stuff. Every once in a while, I think it's important to kind of get back to the point of why are we doing this? Why might this be important? So that's what I want to talk about today. Kind of a revisiting the why behind why we do tarot. And people have different personal reasons why they're interested in tarot. But for me, it really boils down to just a couple of very simple, but to me, very important concepts. Firstly, the tarot, working with the tarot, learning the tarot, is about integration. It's about not only integrating, but recognizing both the outer and the inner. It's about taking what we know and expanding it by what maybe we weren't consciously knowing, but that the tarot can help us to understand. So it's about integrating conscious, unconscious. It's about integrating inner and outer, what we want to see happen and what we understand is happening. Sometimes those are two different things. To say that we integrate and understand the unconscious is sort of like saying we understand what's going on in space. We really don't. We know it's out there. We know it's vast beyond what we can comprehend. The unconscious is the same way. But to even acknowledge the mystery of that and that is part of our reality as human beings is a really powerful thing. So whether or not these integrations happen within our awareness, like when a person leaves the tarot table and they say, well, I understand that better now. I can see where my options are. I can see where I have power and where I have to just give it up because I can't control certain things. That awareness in itself, I like to say, is worth the price of admission. That's a value in itself. Whether our awareness that there is stuff beyond what we can know is conscious and kind of in the front of our mind, or whether that's just something that happens kind of subliminally when we leave a tarot reading, we have a sense of greater possibilities. This I don't think can really be underestimated. The fact that the universe is much more complex and mysterious than we can even begin to understand. I like that kind of old expression from Deepak Chopra about that the universe is not only stranger than we think it is, it's stranger than we can think. And to acknowledge that, to kind of say yes to that, in some kind of way is empowering and connects us more deeply to the reality of the things that we can see and the things that we can't see. So this idea of integration happens whether we're aware of it or not in a tarot reading. That this notion of that it's not magical, it's just the way that the universe works that we have not yet come to understand. I so appreciate that aspect of working with and learning tarot and watching how it plays out in people's lives. Kind of going hand in hand in that, a notion of that tarot is about integration is this notion of tarot is about awareness. When we have more awareness, we have more power. When we have more information, we do better. When you know better, you do better. It's the power of having information, the power of knowing, the power of seeing things as it is, regardless of what we want from it. Again, this notion of personal empowerment that comes from having an awareness. I think of working with the tarot as expanding circles of awareness. It's like we might have started off here and we maybe come to understand things this way, but then, you know, if we're paying attention and looking and listening and learning, then we're going to be out in this sphere, we're going to be out in this circle of awareness. But there's infinite parameters, you know, to expand into. So this notion of awareness and expanding consciousness, expanding what we understand, what we understand that we don't know is as important. I've heard probably 3 times in the last week about how 95% of the universe is made up of dark matter. And I think that has a correlation in our conscious mind as well. You know, we think we know what we see and that's it, you know, but the reality probably is more truthfully that we might see 5% and think it's all, but there's 95% that we can't see. So just this connection to awareness, power, integration of these different aspects of ourselves, and then really the final thing to think about with tarot is, what do you do with that? What do you do with that information? With either those concepts or what you come up with in a reading, how do you use your information? Do you use it to find peace? Do you use it to connect bridges between people? Do you use it to move forward in your life? How does that impact the people around you? These are important things to think about when you're working with really such a powerful system of consciousness that is the tarot. So it's important to revisit these things inside of yourself. We can get caught up in, what does this card mean and what is this symbol and which layout should I use and what's the best question and all of that. Take time every once in a while to say, okay, what's this about for me? Why am I doing this? Why is this useful and important for me? It's part of the beauty of the system. So there you go. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time.